So the first question is, how did your musical life start?
When I was 4 years old, my mom enrolled me in piano lessons because both my brothers, I have two older brothers, they also were also enrolled in piano when they were at a young age.
Okay.
So I played piano from 4 years old all the way until the end of grade 9, I believe, the end of grade 9. And at that point, I was working on my grade 10 RCM piano.
Wow. Okay.
But then I really did not want to do the history 3 and the harmony 3.
Okay.
And my mom, at that time, which she strongly regrets now, she decided to pull me out of piano because she said if I'm not going to do the whole package, I should not bother. But I actually wanted to continue with piano. However, that was a blessing in disguise because I ended up taking vocal lessons starting in grade 10.
Okay.
And so I took private vocal lessons in grade 10 with a teacher named Dawn King. She was a middle school teacher at the time. She's a phenomenal singer as well.
Okay.
And so I took lessons with her, and then I decided at that point in time, because I've always wanted to teach music, starting from, actually no, I want to be a doctor all the way up to grade 9, and then I realized science wasn't my strength, so I wanted to go into music. But before I was going to teach piano, but now that I fell in love with singing, I decided, you know what, I feel like I can really teach singing, and I love it so much, and I feel like it's so liberating and just so much fun. So I decided to audition, and I auditioned at U of T, Western, Laurier, Queens, York, but I didn't actually go to York. I just didn't go. I auditioned in all those places. I was fortunate enough to be accepted at all the schools, but when I was trying to figure it out, both my parents graduated from Western, so they were very biased. So they convinced me to go to Western, and the program is just fantastic. So I went to Western. I studied under Gloria Gassi, and I had a lot of incredible professors there. And it was funny because I went to university thinking, okay, I'm going to be a vocal teacher.
Right.
And then I don't remember which teacher it was, but they asked me, says, what do you want to be? And I said, I want to be a vocal teacher. They said, there's no such thing as that. There's only such thing as a music teacher, which means that I have to learn all the instruments because given the fact that every majority of the high schools, if not all of them, aside from maybe some of the inner city schools, they all run band programs. A lot of them don't have vocal programs, and if they do, they're not very large. So I felt like, oh my goodness, if I really want to be a music teacher, if I really want to be, and I really did want to teach music, I have to make sure that I understand this other part of music that I had zero experience in. In university, I picked people's brains a lot, and I talked to a lot of my the TAs. Anytime I needed help, I was spending hours a week outside of class just trying to understand everything, so that coming out of it, I would have a good tool belt, and I'll have more knowledge than what I would just learn in the classes.
So you mentioned that you started piano because your mom put you there.
I know that I did enjoy it throughout. I had a teacher who I actually took the Suzuki method.
Right.
Instead of the RCM method. Suzuki teaches more so by ear. So part of that is they believe in completely immersing the child and starting from a young age in music. So every night when we were going to bed, my mom would play the songs that we were learning on cassette. We had the cassette players, so she would play it on repeat, and every day we would listen to that going to sleep, which actually made it hard to go to sleep without not having music, without having the music, because when we were so used to it, we were conditioned to learn that way. But that also developed relative pitch and all that other stuff. So so my mom put it in there. She is an advocate for music. She grew up with playing piano as well, so my mom can play. My dad is very different. So I was put in there just because my oldest brother was excelled at piano. He's very musical, and my other brother was pretty good as well. And so going through the Suzuki method, had a teacher called D.G. Reynolds, who was just fantastic, so accomplished, and she taught me throughout all those years that I was growing up, from age 4 to, I guess, grade 9 is what, like 14? So
Wow.
she taught me for 10 years. She taught my brother, for a few years more than that. But yeah.
Would you say that because music was introduced to you at such a young age, that really made an
Oh, yeah.
impact on your entire life?
Yes.
Like, how so?
My dad is a physician, so I think that if we didn't have music, that we would only be focused on the academics. But I think that having it introduced when I'm young, it helped me with the creative side, and it just made me want to always be surrounded and immersed with it. And it just felt like a really natural thing to do, right? Like when you go to school, because you have this music background,
right,
you naturally just want to be involved in as many music things as possible. And actually, I forgot, I missed one big thing, which was the middle school that I went to, Sir Alexander Mackenzie. This was in Scarborough. And the high school I went to, which was Agincourt Collegiate, they were both extremely strong schools. They weren't music schools, they weren't art schools, but they had very, very well-established music programs. Agincourt, Sam being probably one of the strongest middle school programs, and Agincourt being one of the strongest high school programs, even outside of Toronto. So, yeah. So I think that being introduced to it at the beginning was definitely very helpful. I don't know. It felt really natural, right? I just wanted to be a part of it.
So, what are you doing now, like, as a music educator? Like, how are you taking everything that you've learned and trying to put it into practice?
Well, I guess everything that I learned, the teachers that inspired me the most were my music teachers. The ones that taught me the most about life were my music teachers. And I think that in terms of the knowledge that I've gained, it's not just about the actual craft itself. It's about everything that music can bring to help a person develop as a whole. And so how I was inspired to step outside my comfort zone, to take risks, to believe in myself, to feel vulnerable but have confidence at the same time, like all those things I want to instill in my students. So moving forward, a lot of what I teach is to give students the tools that helps them become better musicians as a whole, but also helps them to become more well-rounded people as they move forward in society. I mean, I don't expect that even even half of the classes that I teach would be moving forward to pursue music, right? But what they can take with them is all of the life lessons, and they can continue pursuing music in their own way. So whether it is as an emotional outlet, whether it is that they actually want to pursue in post-secondary, or whether it helps them achieve success in other streams, right? I mean, music is a very performance-based subject when it comes to high school. And again, that takes a lot of courage. And if they can transfer that courage into other presentations in business, in science, they become more comfortable with talking to other people, working together as a team, all those things, I think they are valued. And so what I learned as a student, what I learned in both high school and in both university gave me both the musical knowledge and the experience and the understanding of what music actually means. And that's so much more than just it being music. There's validity in that, but it along with that comes this whole other package.
Right.
So
what are you doing to try to get that out of your students?
Oh yeah, that's so I teach instrumental and vocal. With vocal, we do a lot of different activities where we build community, where we build confidence. And one of the things that I always do at the start of the year for all the classes is their first task is to reflect on what kind of musician they want to be, what kind of singer or performer or instrumentalist they want to be, what they want to do that's better, more improved than what they did in the previous years, whether that was when they were in grade 8 or grade 9, grade 10, grade 11. And then that way they have goals in mind as they're moving forward. And so in terms of the confidence, in terms of trying to inspire them and motivate them to move forward, I think that's one of the things that I do. The other thing is I constantly remind them that everything that I teach in class is not because I'm pushing everybody to go and pursue music. It's that I want them to take whatever they're learning in class to apply to whatever, to be able to bring with them and carry with them and use it for whatever their own purposes are in the future. So, I mean, I'm going to be teaching like jazz improvisation. I teach them about all of the vocal technique, and that is more that is where I bring in my musical knowledge, and then combined with, encouraging them to open up, combined with all of these different activities where they're sort of forced to step outside their comfort zone. I think I see a lot of the students gaining confidence and being able to handle themselves a little bit better in various situations.
You talked about how like music really changes like the students that you interact with. Like what kind of change do you see in all these different kinds of students?
The biggest one is confidence. That a lot of students come into the class not having necessarily that much confidence, thinking that, oh my goodness, I have to sing in front of all these people, I have to play an instrument, will people hear me, will they judge me? And my answer to that is always that the more vulnerable and the more open they are, the more that they're going to learn, and to always just trust me and trust that I know what I'm doing, because eventually they'll realize how that they'll realize the change in and that they're gaining courage and gaining confidence. Yeah. What was your original question?
Oh, I was just asking like what kind of things do you see in students from teaching them?
Oh, yes. Okay, the other thing is I actually find that a lot of students that you get to see another aspect of them too. So I find that teaching music, especially at the high school level, you get to know the students way better than any of the other teachers do, right? They confide in you about things that I don't think some of the other teachers would hear about, right? Even things like people being distressed over relationships, being upset about marks, having things at home where they're arguments with their parents where they just don't feel like they're understood. And then being able to weave music into that conversation and have them use music as an outlet where they can channel all of that energy, channel all of that, all of their life experiences into music that can be shared with other people. And I mean, we see students on a day-to-day basis changing in different ways, right? Like changing in, as I said, level of confidence, courage, but also as just people. Their outlook on life changes, their interactions with one another changes. And I think that's why so many students in music, they're actually quite sensitive people, because they tap into those emotions, which is what music is all about, and they transfer that into the social aspect of their life. And so they understand how much courage it needs to take to perform, and how much courage it needs to take as other people are moving forward in life. And I think that's why people in music are generally very, very supportive and encouraging people. And so when we see things in students where it's going in the opposite direction, I mean, not every student is showing these things, then that's when we have more life chats about like, okay, what's happening, and then offering different perspectives, and again, using music as an outlet. And I think that's, yeah.
So you would say you feel really close to all of the students
Very.
that you have.
Yes.
Like, how does that, for you, how does that affect you, like your life?
Oh, so, wow. Okay. So, I mean, teaching, it's not just a job, right? It's, I think, so much more than that. It actually is a part of my life, because I'm not just coming here to work. I actually have relationships with the students. I actually have relationships after they graduate. As I'm talking to you right now, I can think back to all those moments that we've had here, and it makes me reflect on what I am teaching them and what I want to continue teaching them and what I feel is important outside of the actual subject, or using music as a way to help them in different aspects of their life. And so when I, after I leave or after I finish teaching my classes, I think that, as a teacher, you learn to be patient and you learn to look from a lot of different perspectives. And I take that with me. When outside of school, I'm constantly drawing upon my experiences in school in terms of being patient with other people in my life. and remembering that if I'm so patient in school, I need to be patient with people that I have relationships with, family, boyfriend, fiance. I feel like teaching really makes me a better person. Like I think that so much of what I learned happens in the school and with the relationships. Yeah, it's just crazy because you don't think that when you graduate university and then you get a job, right? Mm-hmm. You don't think that when you get a job that it's actually going to affect who you are, but I think teaching is so much more than that, right? It's relationships. It's teaching adolescents how to be better people, how to like differentiate right from wrong and what's important, what's not important.
Okay. I'll ask you a final question.
Sure.
What are you most thankful for in terms of like your whole like musical life and like teaching and being a student? What are you the most thankful for of all of your experiences?
The people who guided me.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the way that I am now and the way that I teach and the way my philosophy, that's all inspired. Right? I don't think that I came up with that on my own. I grew up in more the traditional Chinese way of doing things, which is like you do what you're told.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, if there's nobody telling you what to do, then what do you do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the other aspects of teaching is all drawn from the teachers that I had. Mm-hmm. In terms of gratitude, in terms of what I feel has been the most important part of when I was a student and all of that it's the teachers, right? I mean, students they hold a special place in my heart, but at the same time, after 4 years, I graduate. But what I can do for them is what I need to be taught, right? To be able to see from different perspectives, to be able to see past what music is, to be able to know how to inspire students. That is all inspired by people that were in my life, that were teachers that were in my life throughout high school and throughout university, and my parents as well. So, yeah.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, you're welcome.